Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host, Simon Conboy. Continuing on with my franchise and draft review series, this episode will be focusing on the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what I'm doing is I'm taking every draft class, every team record from the last 10 years, so 2007 to the current day, commenting on any coaching changes, anything interesting about the record in that particular time, and then grading each individual draft in that time span. So I'll explain the draft grading a bit more once I get to that section in the video. Let's get to the Jags. So, as you may expect, bad record in the last decade. 47 wins, 113 losses. It's been tough sledding for the few Jags fans that exist. One playoff appearance in that time, that being in 2007 under Jack Del Rio. That was a pretty solid Jags team back then. The old Marcus Stroud, John Henderson combo. I'm sure a lot of people have forgotten about those two. That was a great pairing. Had Del Rio was head coach 2007 to 2011. Well, longer than 2007, but for the sake of this video. Then they had Mike Mularkey, and did not really work. And then from 2013 up until toward the end of this season, Gus Bradley, who was fired toward the end of the season. So yeah, a disaster. Several double-digit loss seasons. Only the one winning season and 1-8-8 in between. Lots of top 5 draft picks. It's been a mess. Shad Khan's, clearly determined to try and turn things around. They're willing to spend money at the minute. It's just not come together. So purpose of this series is let's see if the draft has anything to do with that. How is this team done? Way I'm grading this, I'm going through the first 3 rounds, grading each individual player selected. Those are the 3 rounds you're expecting to get starters or contributors to the team. Being a bit more strict with first rounders, of course, taking into account position more specifically that they're drafted. Of course, you expect a lot more from a top 10 pick than maybe from someone selected toward the end of the round. Giving them a solid if I think it was a good pick, it's worked out. Some will score, won't score. They're reasonable picks, not achieved too much, but perfectly fine for where they were selected. And then a -1 to the score for any busts. Any picks made in rounds 4 through 7 that have been successful will be deemed as value picks. They will add a total of +1 to the team's score, and I'll highlight the individual player and comment on that. Friday is going to be a special weekly review episode where I get all this information from each of these individual episodes, collate it all, provide you guys with some interesting stats. We'll really be able to delve deep into how this all translates into wins. I'm sure that's going to be a great episode. Definitely recommend checking it out once it's up. So, hopping into the Jags 2007 draft class. Their number 1 pick was Reggie Nelson, the 21st overall selection, the safety. Underachieved while he was with Jacksonville. Has actually gone on to have a good career since, particularly some of the years he had in Cincinnati. Would have been a bust for the Jags for what he did there, but I'm going to give that a mediocre. I'm not going to grade them down for it. He clearly had talent and they spotted that. It just never came together. In the second, Justin Durant, the linebacker, he had some good years. It was a solid contributor for them. That goes down as a solid pick. In the third, Mike Sims Walker. He was a bust. I think he had one good season, and that was that. In the fifth, Uche Nwaneri, the guard, got good value there out of him. He was a competent offensive lineman for them. So, for a 5th rounder, good value, good job there. Moving on to the 2008 draft, we've got Derek Harvey with the 8th overall pick, the defensive end. He did absolutely nothing. That pick was a bust. In the second, Quentin Groves, also drafted to be a defensive end. Again, did nothing. There's another bust. 2009, Eugene Monroe, tackle with the 8th selection. He had a very good career with the Jags. Played okay for a couple of years before retiring pretty early. I think that was a solid pick. Was a pretty good player at the position. Even though he was a top 10 pick, but I'll go with solid. And the second, Eben Britton, another offensive tackle. He was a bust. In the third, Terrence Knighton, the behemoth defensive tackle. He had a good career. He will go down as solid, particularly for a 3rd rounder in particular. Also in the third, Derek Cox, defensive back. had a middling kind of career, no grade attached to him. And in the 7th, Rashard Jennings, the running back, he's been good value. He's had a very solid career for a 7th round player. Moving on to the 2010 draft, Tyson Alualu, selected 8th overall. I remember him being, that pick shocking people as a massive reach. Well, there's a reason it was considered a reach. He was a bust. And the 3rd round, DeAnthony Smith, another defensive tackle, also a bust. 2011, first round, Blaine Gabbert at number 10. Yeah, goes without saying, that one's a bust. In the 3rd, Will Rackley, a guard, didn't do anything for his career. That's another bust. In the 4th, though, Cecil Shorts, the wide receiver, got a couple of decent years out of him. It goes down as a value selection, not bad for a 4th rounder. 2012, Justin Blackman with the 5th overall selection. Guy had the talent, we saw that, but at the end of the day, off-field issues end up killing his career. Has to go down as a bust. 2nd round, Andre Branch, defensive end. I think he's gone on to have a somewhat reasonable NFL career. No grade there. In the 3rd, Brian Anger actually had a great season last year for the Buccaneers, but at the end of the day, it's a punter in the 3rd round. I'm going to give that a bust by default all day, every day. 5th, Brandon Marshall, the linebacker, who's made a great name for himself with the Broncos. Good player. Shame the Jags didn't see it. Value pick, although really the Colts don't deserve credit. No, the Jags do not deserve credit for that one. Moving on to the 2013 draft. 1st round, 2nd overall pick, Luke Joeckel. Yeah, he now plays for the Seahawks. That was a bust. They're making it easy on me with these 1st rounders, the Jags. 2014, carry on. Jonathan Cyprian, the safety, round 2. Had one good year last year. That year was good enough to give it solid. I think he's developed into a good player. Unfortunately, that will now be playing for the Titans for the Jags. Solid selection there. In the 3rd, Dwayne Gratz, the cornerback. He's done nothing. He goes down as a bust. Now, from 2014 onwards, I'm willing to be a bit more lenient. Of course, some of these players haven't played enough for us to, be able to say definitively whether they are or not. Players I feel strongly about, I will grade. I'm just warning you in advance. There will be a bit more fence sitting, as much as I hate sitting on the fence. It's 2014, Blake Bortles, 3rd overall pick, quarterback. Last year was such a disaster. I've made it clear in other videos. I do not believe this is a salvageable player. I don't get the impression he wants or has putting in the effort. I've heard lots of stuff. He's a bust as far as I'm concerned. And the 2nd round, Marquise Lee, the receiver, he's been okay for them. Could maybe go bust, but no, at this point, I'm willing to just hedge my bets there. In Allen Robinson, also in the 2nd round, the receiver. Yeah, definite solid pick. Very good receiver. In the 3rd, Brandon Linder, the lineman. Don't know there. In the 5th, Telvin Smith, a really good value selection. He's a good linebacker. 2015, Dante Fowler, the defensive end with a 3rd overall pick. Man, there was a lot of hype around this guy going into this season after training camps and stuff. Didn't really do too much. Not going to say bust yet. This year is huge for him, in my opinion. In the 2nd, TJ Yeldon. I think we've seen he's probably not an every down running back in the NFL, but I think he's a talented guy. I think he could end up contributing. Again, no grade there yet. This needs to start showing something this season, I feel. And in the 3rd, AJ Cann. He's been mediocre. This could easily end up being a solid next year if he gives us another good year. Well, a solid year of play. Hope to see him improve a little bit more. 2016, last year, Jalen Ramsey, the defensive back. Now, I really wanted him to play safety coming out of college because I just thought, plug and play. You could see it from the college tape. Thought moving him to corner would be a big risk, even though clearly the talent's there. He was very good. Very good at corner. Improved as the season went on. Happy to say that's a solid pick at this point. In the 2nd, Miles Jack, the linebacker. Another fantastic college player, of course. The injury led him to fall. Haven't seen enough of him at this point. And in the 3rd, Yannick Ngakui or Nagaku. I don't know. Either way, defensive end 3rd. He actually had a really good season. For a rookie at defensive, to come up with, I think it was 9 sacks, it might be 8.5. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that's a solid pick. He should continue to get better. So the Jags in total, it's ugly reading. First, I'm going to go with the first rounders, because this is the most damning indictment of why this team has struggled so much. 10 first rounders in that time, 8 of them are busts. 8. By far the worst ratio in the league, and 2 solid players, the 2 solid ones being Jalen Ramsey. In fact, Ramsey, who else? Eugene Monroe. 1 undecided in Dante Fowler, but 7 busts. That's shocking. It's the worst ratio in the league. There you go. All these high draft picks that have just done nothing for the team. That's a massive contributing factor. Only found 11 players in total. Also, just 7 of them in the first 3 rounds. That's incredibly poor. 13 busts. A few mediocre guys in there. A total score of -2. One of the worst. I mean, just going through this list, it's just shocking how poor a job this team has done in the draft over the years. It's no wonder they've struggled. Only finding 11 players over the course of 10 years through the draft process is not good enough. Hopefully things are looking up. Last year's class looks good. The year before that, the jury is still out there. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the Jags for you. It was worse than I expected, and I knew it was going to be bad. Incredible. That first round ratio is just shocking. Absolutely shocking. But yeah, explains a lot. So what do you guys think? Have you enjoyed the series so far? Do you think I got any of these particular ratings wrong? If so, just get in touch. Got the comment section below on YouTube, Cover Zero on Facebook, find me on Twitter. All that stuff's listed down there. I'll do my best to get back to absolutely anyone and everyone who does comment. Always good to keep up on these things. If you've enjoyed this episode, please check out some more of the rest. I definitely recommend checking out the Friday episode. You get to see all these numbers within the context of all the others. It'll be a really entertaining and informative episode. I hope people will enjoy it. I've enjoyed doing this series. So let me know. Any feedback, greatly appreciated. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Don't forget, if you enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for your time, and as always, go Bucks.